Hey, it is Stacy. It is walking in my shoes, and we are loving my veteran. Again, excuse the way I look this hour of the morning. Um, Sorry. We are moving, and so in the middle of all this, you kind of get the moving, painting look going on. So this is kind of where we are this morning. Just want to tell everybody good morning. Have your coffee. Grab your coffee. And we were going to get started here. We have so much to talk about today. So I'm going to give everybody just a second to hop on here because I'm on it this morning. Good morning. So as we're going to talk about all of the great things that are going on just in these communities that we're all so much a part of, I've been hitting around, pointing to my little Disney cup about something great. Everybody, please, please, please mark your calendars. August 12th through the 15th, Orlando, Florida. We are going to have the first PTSD conference. It is Positive Trumps Suicide and Depression. It is in conjunction with our dear friends at Behind the Service Podcast. It is going to be a day just full of family and fun and information and knowledge and wealth. And we want you to bring your families and just come have a great time. There will be plenty more information coming out as we get the rest of the lineup together of who's going to speak and um, just huge support structures for all of us and just come together as a group of veterans and their families as we come together. It will be at the Doubletree International Drive in Orlando. They have been gracious enough to host this event. So we are super, super, super excited. We'll be talking about so much going on, and there'll be so much knowledge and just a great fellowship and being together. So as we've talked all week about the physical changes of the brain and the different treatment options. Yesterday we really talked about some of the drug therapies that were out there and the pros and cons and what we're getting. There is some other stuff out on the horizon that is being used. Again, I'm going to quote realistic resources here. First thing I want to talk about is therapy. Um, I think that it is important that we talk about therapy and finding the good counselor. There are a lot of therapy options available out there. This is coming from Psychology Today. So it is one of the leading advocates in good psychology on how to find a good therapist. Again, I will post these links for anybody who clicked on them last time. I have them as separate posts under the comments because they kind of go together. So the process of finding a therapist is actually divided into three stages. The first one, you need to research your therapist, and that comes a little hard if you're using therapy at the VA because you're using the therapist that is available. You need to interview that therapist. You need to make sure that you guys are on the same page when it comes to, and you absolutely must have rapport with your therapist. That's the way that the psychology in the American Journal of Psychiatric Medicine knows that it works. You have to do your research, make sure that the therapist you're talking to specializes in that. It doesn't do you a whole lot of good to go talk to a child's therapist when we're dealing with PTSD, or go talk to somebody who specializes in um, like physical abuse when we're dealing with combat stuff there, or marriage counseling therapist when we need other forms of counseling. So there, not all counseling is the same. Again, so that's why they're saying you need to kind of research your feelings. So you're not going to be able to interview every therapist. So you know when you're looking, especially on an outside source, you need to narrow that down. You have to decide what's important to you. You know, like convenience, distance, whatever. But it is very important that when you deal with this and through the processes, you have to understand, first of all, there's two parts to therapy. The psychiatrist is the one who can prescribe. The psychologist is usually the one you talk to for counseling. So please understand there is a difference in psychiatrists. They're the ones who prescribe the drug that you may need, and psychologist is the person that you're physically talking to. Um, so there's all those factors that kind of fall into place. So when you're finding that right thing, you know, we're using the correct guidelines. We're looking at what are their views, what do they have available. The one thing that you know, we their education, their background, we find it very hard. Veterans have said, sorry, that it's very hard to talk to somebody who doesn't know what they've been through. Once you find the therapist, developing a rapport with them is important. So the where we're seeing problems come into this is you may not always get the same counselor at the VA. You may not always get the same thing. Well, American Journal of Psychology says you should utilize the same therapist because you have to develop that sense of trust. And so we're seeing that the sense of trust is something that combat PTSD related veterans have. And now you're going again. I'm not saying anything negative about the VA, but we're just calling things out and bringing them to light. When you got quantity of people funneling down to quality, we're losing some of that quality because we have so many people who need it, and they're going into this funnel that getting an appointment over and over again with the same therapist is not always conducive. And it's not something that can happen because of quantity coming into the system. So those are the things we have to advocate for. We have to really, as their voice and as the voice of our veterans and as making things aware and being part of this communities, when we do this, we find that the same therapist over and over again is very beneficial. Um, and you're not going to open up in a half an hour session. You're not going to open up. You got to get that rapport. You got to start developing that trust. That's going to happen over time. And in order to be effective, you're going to have to do it multiple times to get that level of therapy that is required. Um, there's a whole article based on that, on finding the therapist and how therapy works correctly. So, like I said again, I'm not bashing the system. The system is broken. I think we're all aware of it. Regardless of political views, even I think the president has realized that when he started the Prevents Task Force, about we have to find a way to prevent this. Well, the system is broken. It's not that the intentions aren't right, it's that the system isn't right. Another thing that is out there is, and again, y'all, I'm gonna have to forgive me because I'm going back and forth between my little pages here. But another thing is out there is all these other different cognitive therapies. Um, and I kind of fell over. This is an article out of Military Times. It was written February the 4th. VA and DoD recommends PTSD therapies. VA and DoD recommended PTSD therapies don't help many military patients, is what the review is finding. So, psychotherapy approaches considered by the Department of Veteran Affairs and Defense to be frontline treatments for military related PTSD don't work for up to 2/3 of the patients. A new report published in the Journal of American Medicine finds. Cognitive processing therapy, or CPT, and prolonged exposure therapy, that's where we keep bringing it back and back and back to them, are two approaches for treating PTSD. And they focus on the patient's traumatic events and memories to help them get past that horrific thing. but the review from several large clinical studies conducted since 2015, so this is current data, on military personnel and veterans, the New York University's Grossman School of Medicine found these psychotherapies have limited success in their patients despite recommendations as preferred treatments in the VA/DoD clinical practice guidelines for management of PTSD and acute stress disorder. It's not working for 2/3 of the patients. And the article goes on, which I thought was very interesting to say. This is literally what the therapist said, that it is not a one size fits all. And I think that that was so key in this, that, where does it says that Steinkamp said, the new research shows that the VA and DoD providers should help their patients find treatments that work for them rather than use a one size fits all approach. And I think that's what we've been advocating for. You know, we have this broad thing called PTSD, and like we talked about before, it's kind of like saying, oh, this is cancer, and you have breast cancer and lung cancer and liver cancer and skin cancer. And you know, if you have breast cancer, we don't cut the skin off of your face for like you would if you have a skin cancer on your face. You know, you do the lumpectomy and you do the other. So the same thing happens with PTSD. It doesn't all work the same. And this one size fits all approach is not working. Do we have a lot of veterans who are very successful on medication treatments? Yes, we do. We have veterans that are successful in counseling. Yes, we do. Do we have veterans that are successful in some of these different approaches? Yes, we do. But what works for this veteran may not work for this veteran. So this one size fits all approach is not working. And that's where becoming advocates and getting this information out and doing some research, and that's what we're trying to provide you as part of this community, is research on what's available. We're not supporting or throwing out any form of treatment. You just need to look at what is working, what is not working. I think my biggest thing in what we do to the system is doing to our veterans is this. We already know that PTSD causes a sense of failure, a sense of worthlessness. That is just a sign and symptom of PTSD. So here your veteran is coming out of the service, and we see a lot of them that are coming out 100% permanent and total disability from the military. It's in their jacket. It's written right there, 100%. So you're seeing it in writing. Your veteran is seeing it in writing, 100% permanent and total disability. That's a hard pill to swallow. I can tell you from personal experience, mine was not military trauma related, but when I saw that little box check that said permanent disability, can't work doing this again, it is a hard pill to swallow. You automatically feel like you are defective. So we already know that that feeling is a sign or symptom of PTSD. And now they've checked the little box in your service jacket that says you can't do it anymore. Okay, so you get out, you do your stuff, and now you're going to go to the VA for a system for help. And we should. It is there. There are some great VAs around. Again, that is based on funding that Aaron McCauley from Behind the Service brought up. And that will be a whole nother topic about funding of the VAs and how they work. But so your veteran's got this box check that says, in their mind, you're defective. You're not 100% anymore. This is permanent and total disability. Hear those words, permanent total disability. That's a tough pill to swallow. Now you're going to the VA, right? And you're going to get disability rating from the VA. That rating determines your income. That rating determines the health care that you get. That rating determines the insurance that's available for you and your family. That rating is critically important in the type of help that you get. So the military has said, you can't work for us anymore. You're permanent and total. Already know we're having PTSD issues, and we're flashing back to these memories of this combat related trauma or guilt survivors, guilt trauma, or whatever it is. So now you're sitting there for your first interview at the VA. They have your jacket. Okay. It on the paper, it says on the paper, it's got their last name and their social and their date of birth. And it lists every place they've been and everything they've done. It lists it. So they're looking at this, right? And it's sitting in front of them. And they look at you and say, where have you been? Where'd you get the PTSD from? Can you tell me about the events? No, they can't tell you about the events. No, they can't tell you about the events. They don't know those events. How are they going to tell you about those events again? Why are you bringing them back up again? Okay, so now we've done our initial, we're in the system. And now they say to him, well, we're going to send you off for evaluation to determine as you start to file your disability claim what you're going to be at. Okay, so got your paperwork, you've gone through, you've relived everything, you've written down every detail, you've written down how you are no longer able to function. And I'm telling you, writing that stuff down is tough. I mean, we had to do it for my disability claim, and you're like, can you do this? No. It's hard. You're admitting your own self failure. So they're writing all this stuff down. They're going through the initial interview. They're doing this mountain the claim, and the military is probably we got a form for everything. So they're filling out all these forms. They're doing all this stuff. It goes somewhere to be processed. Now you got somebody calling you to do a review. And before COVID, you went in and did them, but now they're calling you to do this review. So they do your review. Okay, well, your evaluator writes this down. Great. We'll let you know. 2 days later, somebody else is calling you. Can you tell me about your experiences again? Okay. You do it again. It's like you're ripping the wound open time after time after time after time after time. And you're putting them back to this space and admitting failure. And then we don't understand why. Why are they like this? And then the military who said you're 100%, the VA comes back with a 40% rating or a 50% rating. And you're like, wait a minute, you've just told me I can't do this. My DD-214 says I'm out on this. A lot of times when you go to get a job, they want to see your DD-214. And so it says 100% disabled. And then you got to explain that to somebody. Y'all, come on. Where are we spiraling people to? So we're not giving them good. We're using the one size fits all approach. Here, take this because it's what's recommended. Here, go to therapy because this is what we recommend. Here, do this because this is what we recommend. We're doing it over and over and over and over and over again, and then we don't understand why they feel the way they feel. Now, this is becoming the advocate is super, super, super important. I cannot tell you what it is like. And then we become frustrated because we watch them get frustrated and we watch them go back through pain. It makes no sense. And it spirals. And then we're in this snowball effect and we don't get it. So where are our answers? What do we do to become those advocates? What do we do to become the community? What do we do to say, hey, enough is enough? What do we do to say this treatment isn't working? You got the paperwork right here. on your own stuff that says it doesn't work. Why are we going down this road again? Why are we doing this again? It is very frustrating to the veteran. It's very frustrating to us. And we're watching all this transpire and spiral, and then we don't understand why they're the way they are. I know I sound like I'm on a soapbox, but you watch it happen. We're in the support groups, we're getting messages from people, we see it go on. The frustration level go on. And then we're going to treat and cure part of the problem. We're going to treat the veteran. Okay. When a veteran thinks that they're going to harm themselves, anybody in thinks they're going to harm themselves, there is a care plan established with somebody that they go to, and they sign off on it. So the veteran is signing off, or anybody, military, non-military, signs off on the care plan, and their support structure signs off on it. So we have this situation going on where they're in crisis, and then they're coming out, and there's a care plan, and they send them home, or they come home. I don't want to use the word send them home like they're luggage, but they come home to function, and there's a care plan signed, but where's the support structure for the care plan? Yeah, we can apply for caregiver benefits, and that's been revamped. But I'm talking about, where's the support structure for the caregivers that have signed off on the plan, or the family? Where's that structure? Where's that at? It is known in all the medical field, in all the mental health field, that when they're in crisis, there must be a care plan, and they sign it for accountability, and the person who is going to be their support signs it for accountability as well. But we have no guide. The average person doesn't have a guide. What are we missing? What are we missing? It's like breaking your arm and going to the ER, and they put the temporary cast on to hold it in place and get the swelling down till you can go to the surgeon to get it set at ortho. We put the cast on, the temporary one, but we're not fixing the problem. We're addressing the symptoms. We're not giving everybody all the tools they need. We're not all the same. Our spouses aren't all the same. The treatments aren't all the same. But what is the common thread in this? When you read and you listen and you talk to people, the common support is this: those of us who are part of this community love our veterans. We may not like what's going on. We may not like the situation we're in the relationship. We may not like the way we're talked to, or we feel like we're talked to. We may not like all this, but the core of it is we love our veterans. The next big phase in this is that they're all treated the same, and they're not. They're individuals. And we don't have the tools to help them. I know in my experience, when we talked to my doctor, Carl was given a very specific list of what to look for, what to do. What do you do next? If this happens, you do this. If this happens, you do that. We're not given that list. We're not told this. We're not aware of this. We're not put together as a family and told this is what's going to happen. We don't have a support in hand for the 5-year-old kid that dad blows up at, or the 16-year-old kid that's watched dad or mom go through this all the time. And now it's playing into their life. There's no support for that. The drugs, therapies, the treatments, it's one size fits all. But when you have a little kid, and we don't have little kids, you can't tell us that this is going to be effective and we're going to do it this way. But this is the way you do it if you have little kids in the house. And you can't tell families that have kids in the house, this is what you need to do. But you have kids that need to be taken care of too. It's not the same. It's not one size fits all. That's the importance of community here. As a community, in the words of Sean and them, as a tribe, as a community, coming together and lifting each other up and supporting and becoming a voice, that's where we're going to be most effective. We're going to advocate for our veterans. We're going to advocate as a community, you guys, us, friends that we have, other organizations. We're going to advocate for them. We're going to be that voice. We need to come together and say enough is enough. It's time we go forward. What are our other treatment options? What are our other plans? What are other ways to do this? What are our needs? I don't need some published document that says this is what we do for this. Oh, and this isn't working, so let's give something that's not even designed for this. Oh, you need to relive your traumatic experience. Well, that's great. If your PTSD is from the traumatic single experience, and it works in those cases. In a lot of patients, it works and it's effective. But what if it's from survivor's guilt? Then you're told, well, here, what do you feel about? That's not a traumatic event, but it is. So we don't have all those resources. Coming together, sharing what we're going through gives us the voices to bring this to the forefront. There's a lot of things that I shut my mouth. There's a lot of things that I don't bring up. Can you imagine me shutting my mouth at anything? This is one thing I am never going to shut up. Our veterans, we deserve. We are a community, and together we are stronger than anybody. And, and it's going to take time, and it's going to take being uncomfortable sometimes, and it's going to take going out on the edge. But that's what we do. So now that I'm off my soapbox here, I'm sure y'all are like, what is she talking about today? Um, just a lot of really positive stuff going on in all of our communities. Again, calendars, write it down. August 12th through the 15th, Orlando, Florida, Doubletree, International Boulevard. We'll give you more information on how to book the rooms and as we go forward and start giving you a lineup of speakers. It is positive trumps suicide and depression conference. It is going to be uplifting, bringing everybody together. This will be a family event. We have stuff going on for the kids. We have everything. We're working on everything. I cannot tell you enough. The love and support that our community has with Behind the Service podcast and the people that we've all reached out to that are just all into this project. Um, it is truly, truly amazing. And we absolutely cannot wait for this to happen and start sharing more details. But I am telling you now, you won't want to miss this event. August the 12th through the 15th. Put it on your calendars. We will be in Orlando, Florida. We are super, super excited about bringing y'all this. From our perspective, Cameron will be joining us coming next week in Cam's Corner. He is a 16-year-old who's going to really talk about what it's like living in a household with a parent with PTSD and what his experiences have been and how he feels about life and some of the challenges he's faced. So we're going to start addressing the what this does to our children. We had a great Let's Talk last night. We encourage you again to get in these groups. They're happening everywhere, different places. Get in them, start talking, share. That's the way we heal, by sharing our experiences, and we have such a good time. Again, we bring veterans and their partners to that event, so we kind of get everybody's perspective, and it's not all like this. We talk about every um, one of them was having a Nerf gun fight with their kids while this is going on. So again, the kids are welcome to be there and in and out. We don't mind, so you don't feel like, hey, you have to be focused completely. Cook dinner, do whatever, and just share. That's what we're about. I think that's just about it. Stuff going on here, newsletter, website. We are working on that. I will kind of be out of pocket for the next 2 days while we get set up in the new house. Um, please just pray for us because moving is never easy, and we should be at the new house, and hopefully the internet provider will be there by Monday. Otherwise, I'll be sitting in the yard or the park or something doing these, which is fine by me. So we're gonna do that. Um, y'all have a blessed day. We cannot thank you enough for being part of our community. Going forward, starting Monday, there will be so much more in our groups and on our website. Newsletters will be coming out again on Monday. Um, I finally figured out the mail system to get everything to you. So we are just so excited about everything we have going on, everything that this community is doing. Super excited to see the picture that Aaron posted this morning. Um, the cars lined up to vote. You know, again, it's not up to me to tell you who or what to vote for. That is your personal belief. Do your thing. But our veterans fought so we could have that right. So get out, cast your vote if you haven't already done so. Make your voice heard. That's what our veterans fought for. It's one of our rights that we were given and we need to truly use. So again, if I'm not real active in the next 24, 48 hours, forgive me. But we have to get this situation handled and get moved. Y'all have a blessed day. I'm Stacy. This is Walking in My Shoes, and we are loving my veteran. And I will see you all for sure on Monday morning. I will put some stuff up as we're going. Have a great weekend and enjoy your weekend.